Okay.
All right. Should we call it?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
6:01, and I will call this meeting to order, friends. We will start with the December board meeting minutes. Does anybody have any changes or any issues with that? If not, do we have a motion to approve the December board minutes?
I will.
All right, that's Victoria. And a second?
You can second.
All right, Teresa, all in favor? Should we just do it? We don't have to roll call this one. All in favor, say aye.
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 Raise your hand. And anybody opposed? Okay, that one passes. And onto the agenda. Does anybody have any changes for the agenda? Hi, Stephen. Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda for tonight?
Yes.
All right, Michaela. And a second?
I'll second.
All right, Eva seconds. We will go all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Okay, that passes. All right. Hi, Holly. Hi, Sarah. How are you, friends? We'll move on to Mr. Gordy. Would you be ready for just a quick report just on what happened at the meeting on Thursday at the school board meeting, and just kind of give us an update on? Oh, you're on mute.
Got it. Sure, there's not much going on right now, so.
Okay, good. That's a good thing.
So, as you know, the governor laid out an order back in sort of mid to late December to encourage schools based on a recommendation from the work that the Minnesota Department of Health has done, based on research that has been done across the country, and then specifically in some European countries, on the impact of the virus, the spread in elementary schools. In the end, you know, there's an awful lot of debate and discussion, but just kind of a quick summary. The Department of Health felt very strongly that it would be important to bring elementary students, this would be inclusive of pre-K through 5th grade, back as soon as possible. So with the knowledge that most schools are in distance learning, the plan set out to start to bring students back on the 18th, which actually is a national holiday, or sometime after that. So Thursday night, Melinda Lansfeld, the superintendent, presented to the school board, and I think we're all aware that we've got new board members now, the plan that would be to bring K2 back on the 27th of January, followed by bringing back 3 through 5 2 weeks later. So one of the questions is, you know, why not bring them back all at the same time? And the governor's order indicated that you can only bring back 3 grade bands at a time. Preschool doesn't count as a grade band in this case. We did bring preschool back last week without transportation. As of today, they're back with transportation. So preschool is in our building, and we will bring students K through 2 students back on the 27th, and then we will bring 3-5 back on the 10th of February. Through the month of February, we will maintain the C Day, and I can certainly talk about that for families if you have questions about that. And then starting March 1st, students will be back 5 days a week. When we think about secondary schools, there is no change at this particular time in the learning model. They will remain in distance learning. But I think the board directive was to look at what a transition plan would look like for secondary students. The data, which is pretty strong in terms of the kind of exposure you see in elementary schools is not the same for children who are 10 years of age through 18. So we'll have to kind of wait and see what ultimately is decided on secondary schools. I guess I can stop and see if people have any specific questions.
I've had a few questions asked to me about transportation. I know there's some families who are considering doing more dropping off and picking up and carpooling instead of bus to reduce quarantine possibilities. Is there a
Sure.
way that you could send out an email that just lays out like the carpool policy or where
Yep.
people would get the signs or whatever?
Yep, I've got a Post-it note I'm looking for right here that says send carpool letter to families. So it's a really good point. In fact, one of the things that I'm considering, because we're anticipating a higher number of families coming through carpool, is to maybe move a grade level, and if you have siblings in an older grade, you would go with them to the front of the building. The concern with that is how do we supervise that, given, Adventure Club drops off there. But I'm just worried about the numbers we're going to see in carpool. So we're exploring some different options in terms of what that might look like and how we can receive that. And just to give you some background and insight on kind of what things will look like. And I apologize ahead of time. And of course, it's never good when the principal qualifies his statements with apology before he starts talking. As you read the governor's order, there's a lot of contradictions that you'll find within the order. And that's just the nature of where we are. I don't mean that as a criticism. The Department of Education, Department of Health are doing the very best they can. So let's start from the very beginning. Children who do get on the bus, there will be social distancing on the bus between the driver and the students. So the first row of seats, and Vicki, you can chime in here if you have information that I speak incorrectly on. The first row of seats will be empty. And then there will be reserved seats. At Lake Elmo, we have reserved seats because when you get on an airplane, you have a reserved seat instead of saying assigned seat. Somehow we feel like the children might buy into that a little better. So there will be reserved seats. We will have families sitting together. From what I was told by the director of operations, and as I tell my staff, the news I'm sharing with you tonight is the news I have as of the 11th of January. It likely could change tomorrow or the next day. There will be specific seats for the students. Obviously, the reason for that is to identify any exposure and to try to mitigate and then do contact tracing so we know where students will be.
Yep.
Do you want to add anything, Vicki, on the transportation end?
I know as drivers, we have a meeting on Friday, kind of like back to work meeting. We will still be sanitizing after every route, every pickup, drop off, all that. I know students are still told that to wear masks on the bus. They are not allowed to enter unless they have a mask. The drivers are still able to have extra masks on the bus that we are able to give the students if they do not have their masks.
Right. And I was told too that the windows will be open to promote.
Yep, they will
air
be
circulation.
open. I think we were told 1/4 of an inch. Every other window has to be open, and the 2 back windows have to be more than half to create that airflow out the back, basically. Now, if students have more than one sibling, they can, from what we've been told, like I said, we'll know more on Friday for sure. But we've been told that they can, like if they're taking up 2 seats, they can sit with either one of them.
Right.
Basically, that's their family seat.
Yep.
So it can be a mixture of any of the kids if they have more than 2 students in that school.
Right. So once students are dropped off at school, they will come in, and the recommendation is social distancing for students of 3 feet. Previously, it was 6 feet that we were working toward. It will now be 6 feet. Students will be allowed to be in the hallways as in previous time. Teachers will send students out in a couple of different shifts likely, just to manage the amount of students that are out in the hallway. That worked pretty good when we were in hybrid. Breakfast will be available. It will be eaten in the classrooms. And of course, if they're eating breakfast in the classroom, they will not have their masks on. Obviously, when the teacher is in the classroom, the recommendation is for the teacher to keep 6 feet of social distance with the students. Again, that's the recommendation. When they're unable to maintain that 6 feet, they will use a transparent barrier. So I think we ordered almost 100 plexiglass barriers that will be distributed throughout the building. So likely a couple of those will be in every classroom for teachers to use as they're interacting with students. I have to tell you that as principals have kind of poured through the order, it's difficult for us to sort of maintain the level of kind of distance that we've had in the past, just because we're going to have full classrooms. And there's a number of students coming back into Lake Elmo from distance learning. As you can imagine, families want to do that. Our class sizes compared to last year are still going to be favorable. But, class sizes compared to what you saw in the fall in hybrid, are going to feel a little bit crowded. I don't know that we're going to have many or maybe even any classes over 27 would probably be the max. And as I look at the list right now, and obviously that could change. So again, relatively good class sizes, but the rooms, because we're a little bit older school, are, such that it's impossible for us to, position the desks so you strategically have 3 feet between every student. So we're going to have to manage that to have students in there. We're going to continue the extra cleaning of touch points by the custodial staff. We will not be as strict as we were with book checkouts. It's likely that, we really want to make sure we continue to keep books in kids' hands. We're looking at exactly what sort of that transition will look like for book checkout. Lunch, we will have kindergarten, first and second grade will be eating in the lunchroom. When you're eating in the lunchroom, they will be social distanced. There's a COVID capacity that we still have to maintain in the lunchroom. Eating lunch is one of those contradictions, probably one of the bigger contradictions in the governor's order. Because if you eat in the lunchroom, you're required to social distance to maintain the COVID capacity, which limits us to about 70 students in the lunchroom at a time. However, if you're eating in the classroom, you do not have to social distance. So students in 3rd through 5th grade who will be eating lunch in the classroom, we'll do our very best to keep them 3 feet apart. But again, with some of those classes where the numbers are higher, some 4th and 5th grade classes where numbers are a little bit higher, especially with bigger bodies, that becomes a challenge. Students will have recess. We'll continue to have separate zones on the playground. We'll continue with the specialist schedule. They were seen, depending on the hybrid day, either they were a Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, and we would do Phy-Ed for 3 weeks, or music for 3 weeks, art for 3 weeks, or media. We're going to continue those 3-week segments. The reason for that is it allows us to move our specialists who share buildings by quarter instead of by day. In other words, in the past, half the week we would have media and half the week you'd have art to fill in, and those teachers would go between 2 buildings. Now they stay in 1 building for a whole quarter, and the goal is just to limit exposure there. Initially, it came out that students would have to meet in the classroom for their specialists. There was an amended order that now allows students to go to the specialist classrooms. So we'll have art in the art room, we'll have music in the music room. We will have PE, obviously, in the gym. One difference between hybrid and 100% is that students did not have to wear masks when they were in Phy-Ed. Students will now have to wear masks when they're in physical education. So as of right now, students will be wearing masks when they're in physical education. When students go outside onto the playground, they will not need to wear masks. If a student goes outside for PE, and obviously that'll start to happen as the weather gets nicer, students will not have to wear masks if they are outside. Again, we'll be encouraging teachers to take outdoor breaks as much as possible. Teachers are really encouraged to keep their students in the classroom at all times, with the exception of those times that they go outside. So I know some teachers have some concerns, especially for our younger students, about just how many movement breaks they can get. So we'll work to, maintain that balance and keep students moving. And then, we kind of talked about bus as we get through dismissal and what that will look like. And I think I mentioned we'll have additional custodial staff who will be on site during the school day to do cleanings of the touch point areas, lockers, door handles, bathrooms, cafeteria, those kind of places where students are.
Stephen, Sarah Voigt put a comment in the chat saying, I've noticed that Fury Motors has moved sites and appears that their truck center next door to the school is closed. Can you tell me if an alternate site's been identified to use in case of an emergency evacuation of our building?
No, the agreement is still in place for us to have that, because my understanding is for the time being, they still have people in the building. But we are looking at a secondary site.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Gordy? All right. And so for those of you who joined us a little bit late, in the chat, I did put a link to a PDF for our agenda if you wanted to take a look at our agenda. Moving on to our budget update. Michaela, can you just give us a quick rundown of, we did receive a couple donations before break, during break, so we'll have an update for that.
Sure. All right. Well, our current balance in our checking account right now is $29,166.81. Last month it was like $27,687. So a couple thousand down. Our spending this month was $2,000 with the Fine Arts program for Karen. We've only had one teacher request, so $150 was an instructor stipend, and then $725 were for the holiday gift cards for staff. And then, so our total spending for the month since our last meeting was $2,875. And then our income, we got the $4,000 from the JCs, so that is included in that total right now. The October Culver's date is in there, and that was 234, which seemed high. That's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe for September in October too.
Okay, maybe it's combined. Yeah, I felt like that was really high for October. Okay. And then $220 for the pop-up swag fundraiser. So our fundraising total this month was $4,454.10. So that's kind of what's happened so far with our expenses within the since our last meeting.
And Eva, we haven't had a chance to get to the mailbox yet. I know your dad sent the check, or you might have sent the check to the mailbox, so we know that it's in there. So we did receive a 300 after we voted to fund equipment kits for the students in the DAPE program. Eva's dad offered to donate $300, which is almost the entire amount. Because he is a physical therapist, or was he a special education teacher, Eva?
He was a physical therapist. He's retired now, but yep, he was a physical therapist in New Richmond and in the Wisconsin side of the valley for 37 years, I think. And then my uncle had Down syndrome as well. So Larry, and he's passed on, but it's an important thing for my dad. He really, really, really believes in movement for people as therapy, and that's his passion. He was a gym teacher for a while too, and then didn't like that and went to PE school instead. So
that's wonderful. Well, that is such a special gift, and we did send them a thank you note. I know Diana with the DAPE program, she also sent a thank you note. Laura, I don't know if you want us to mention, but Laura gave a $65 donation as well, which is amazing. And so there's very little, if anything, that the PTA will need to put into these kits. So thank you to everybody. Thank you so much to all the donations. Speaking of generous donations, so in November, I put in a request, or I applied for a grant to cover the $2,000 that we would have to pay in our contract for Karen Nottingham. And we asked the JCs for $2,000. We were just kind of told usually they give with it between like $1,500 and $2,500. Well, they gave us $4,000, which is incredibly generous. And so I did know that several teachers and I know families kind of pitched in for extra videos from Karen. But teachers specifically were our third grade teachers, Yoko Cheatham, Carrie Bolstorff, and Beth Payne. And so I encouraged them to ask for reimbursement because they did put in $186 per person. So the total amount for the videos Karen made for the third grade was $560. And so today, the vote would be just to approve the three reimbursements. So each of the teachers submitted their own reimbursement requests. Again, $186 per teacher for a total of $560. And so is there a motion to approve that total amount for the three teachers? All right, Eva, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Teresa will second. Let's do a roll call with this, Laura, please.
Yeah, so let me catch up. Teresa second. Okay. Renee,
Yes.
Teresa, Michaela,
Yes.
Victoria,
Yes.
Eva,
yes.
Holly,
Yes.
Angie,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
thank you. And I vote yes as well.
Okay.
We have a unanimous, it passes unanimously.
Wonderful. So Michaela or Vicky, I don't know which one of you ladies might be able to do it. If we could, I think I've sent 2 electronically and Beth submitted hers in our mailbox. So I'll grab that this week. If we can get the checks to them this week, that'd be awesome. Now, I guess the question is, what do we want to do with the remaining amount? It's just under $1,500. In our contract that we signed with Karen this year, we did open up the option to receive an additional 2 videos, I believe, and we were saying $500 per video. So that's a possibility. We could ask for 2 more videos. I know she's in Mexico right now and she's working on a lot of the videos. or we can hold the amount for next year for when we do what I'm hoping is a full contract with her, what we've done in the past. So I don't know if you guys want to discuss it briefly before we make our decision.
Have we done any of the videos yet, or are those starting in January? I can't remember when they started.
Did they start already? I don't think they started. I didn't see any, but I thought
I think one has been done.
We have her site, and I know we sent out one in immersion for Friday for an extra activity.
Oh, okay. Because I think that, yes, I think the contract was December, January, March, and April. Maybe.
I thought they were over our breaks.
No, it was December through March. So it was one a month. December, January, February, March. So
Okay.
that's what we have so far. So we could ask for a video for April or April and May. It's really kind of what you guys think. I think
I think the third graders already had one too, because Emmett did do one, and I want to say it was even back. I don't know if it was it was right when we started distance learning, and I don't know if that's one that like the third grader teachers had paid for specifically, or if it was a shared one. It was a Mandela's one, so I don't know how that plays into that.
okay. I think fifth grade and first grade too might have gotten maybe another video. I'm not sure. I certainly think if she's able to, it would be great if we could. We have the money. I mean, we were gifted this amount, and I think if we're sitting pretty comfortably with our account. So I would say if she would be willing, it might be great, especially now that kids are going back to school and things are feeling a little bit more easier to breathe. That maybe it might be great to ask her if she'd be willing to do 2 more videos or 1 more video. But I want to hear your thoughts too, Eva.
Yeah, I forget if do we have access to these like next year and stuff like that, or is this a one and done?
I think so. I think once they're up, they're up.
Okay, so this is like a resource that we're investing in for many years in the future. I mean, can we think of it that way?
I'll have to ask her if she's going to take it down at the end of the year or at the end of the summer. But as far as I know, once it's up, she's not going to take it down after a certain amount of weeks or months.
Oh, sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was just wondering if it's something we could continue to use on snow days or things like that, where we might need to access something like that. It could be useful for
kids to go back to, like, let's say next year we have a snow day and we can say, hey.
Or for our staff, our teachers to continue to use something,
I'll ask her. I'm pretty sure she was going to keep it up. I don't know if she's going to keep it up indefinitely, but I'll email her and ask.
Yep. I'm inclined to support it, so.
Are these available through like an open YouTube? I guess like when Emmett watched his, we just clicked through the Seesaw thing and it took us to YouTube, but I didn't look to see if it's like somehow locked so like other people can't view it, or is it just like through our school, or how are they viewable? Do we know?
She put up a link on our Facebook page. So I think it's an open, I don't know. That I'll have to ask with her too. But she put it on her Facebook page, so I'm assuming it's open to everybody. We've paid for it, but everybody, it's open. Eva?
I think I might know, I believe Ms. Wink set up our Chromebooks to allow access to that site already.
Okay.
So if they're checked out through our school, then the Chromebooks will allow it, will allow access to her YouTube page.
Okay.
So I believe that's a factor of it.
Okay, we'll have to look into that too, because like Emmett's is just using our house laptop, so it's not like a school Chromebook, and he was able to get into it, but that's why I'm kind of curious.
That's the Seesaw.
But it was through Seesaw.
So
Yes.
maybe I could be wrong too, Teresa. I'm not positive, but I just remember hearing that from someone.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like in the summer, can we log on and look at these in the summer? Like, do we just go to YouTube, or how do we access them, or is it through the school website? I know we kind of chatted about it before, I just don't remember. But
Okay, I'll ask her. I'll shoot her an email and see.
One question I would have, or just one idea to put out there to the universe, is knowing that spring break will be coming up at the end of March, and I'm guessing that depending on households and what they're capable of doing and what's advisable from a public health perspective, having something like this as sort of your own home spring break kit might be a nice thing to just kind of, even if you're just packaging links together and sending them out there, that might be a nice little resource or something that, you know, parents can figure out how they can work them in or make them revisit some fun favorites from the school year.
That would be awesome. To ask and maybe see if Karin would be willing to do videos for that, but then have our PTA kind of brainstorm and think of just a fun packet or whatever, a packet resource links. That'd be a great idea. Thanks, Sarah. So what do you think? Should I just email her and kind of get these questions answered, and then maybe I'll just kind of email you guys before the next meeting, and then we'll see if we all agree to have her do 2 more. We could either vote for it in February, or we can maybe hold an email vote if she wants to hear before our next meeting. Everybody all right with that? Awesome. All right, that's what we'll do. The next item is an update about Amity. Stephen, do you want to just give us a quick of what your conversation with Rachel and?
Yeah, so just an update. When we initially looked at bringing Amity in, we talked about PTA paying for a portion of it. I think it was a couple, actually $2,400, I believe, was the amount that PTA agreed to pay for this year. Obviously, because we were not able to bring in the interns this year, that was not paid. So as we started to look at preparation for next year, I advocated with Rachel Larson, who runs or oversees, I should say now, oversees the immersion program from the district level, to see if it was possible to have the entire amount of Amity, at least as far as the intern piece goes. So this would include money for the application fee and sort of the orientation that they get, and then they get a monthly stipend. So the total amount is $7,400 that would cover the entire year. And now there's some miscellaneous expenses that wouldn't include. But for the bulk of the cost, it will be covered by the school district. And I think that's appropriate. I think, PTA could play a role, where they might complement that by, providing welcoming baskets or, gift certificates to a certain location, or, tickets to a museum or something like that, because they're required to do that. The main role that I think PTA will play in supporting Amity, though, is really helping us recruit and find families that are willing to host and then drive and connect with these interns when they are in the U.S. or here with us.
Do you know if Emily's willing to stay on board and kind of do that again?
I haven't had the courage to ask her that question.
I can ask her. I'll ask her. Like Stephen said, there's a representative who kind of is working with, is one of the main contact people who is trying to set up the homes for the interns to come and stay. And Emily O'Connor, she's one of the immersion parents. And so hopefully she'll come back and do it again. And then I was going to touch base with her. I haven't yet, but I was going to just kind of reach out to her and see if there are any ideas she might have. Rutherford had Amity interns, so maybe they might have some ideas on, like Stephen said, welcome baskets, or maybe some planned outings, ways for the interns to get to know the teachers, get to know, the community. If we can have in-person events, things like that, might be neat to maybe incorporate something in our back to school night or something. So.
And you'll hear more about it. Part of the requirement when you host an intern is to provide, learning opportunities among and within the local community. And so at Rutherford, it was, people were really very generous. If they went to a cabin for a weekend, they bring the interns, if they were going camping somewhere, if the interns were brave enough to do that, they would go along. So, those are just some examples of things you could do. Obviously, on a more local level, people would go visit the Minneapolis Institute of Art, and they might bring the intern along with them, and those kinds of things. So, and also a couple other things. It sounded like Emily said, the majority of people who said they were willing to host this year want to make that same commitment for next year.
Mhm.
And we're also hopeful, the two people who said that they wanted to do it this year are interested in doing it again next year. Now, a lot can change, and we won't find out until later this spring. But we had two really strong candidates. So if we could maintain those two, I'd be really excited.
Yeah. So they would have to re-register or reapply.
Yep. And the application from us is due on the 25th of January. So I'm working on that right now.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions about Amity, or otherwise we can move on? Okay. The only other thing, Janelle's not here, so we won't be chatting about the dining out, but book fair, Eva, we are going to schedule a just an online book fair and before spring break, or is it right after spring break?
No, it's I believe it is March 17th.
Okay.
So kicks off on St. Patrick's Day, what I thought.
Is there
So
anything?
right up to the end of March. You kind of froze up there, Renee. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
And then it's 2 weeks long. It's pretty basic. It's really easy to set up. Stuff will be shipped to kids' houses or wherever they choose. So we'll get a small percentage of Scholastic dollars back, but something, and maybe some normalcy for the kids and things like that. So
Yeah.
What was your question?
Oh no, my question was just, is there anything we need to do to prep for it? And it's just really getting the word out. We did one last spring, and I don't know, we probably didn't get too many, but
But we had other book fairs during the year last year, so maybe this year it'll be different
yeah.
because of the lack of any book fairs. And you can buy the tchotchke stuff, you can get the erasers and things like that. So some people might really be, I don't know, interested in that stuff. It's such low commitment on our end that it's really it's kind of a no-brainer, I think, to do that. And then I know last time we asked that it would butt up to spring break, so I wanted to include spring break in that as well. So
Teresa?
Do you know if we'll be getting like flyers, like how we normally get like the little Scholastic Book Fair flyer that goes out? Will those be coming to go home with the kids?
I don't know. I can check. Is that something you think
I think if the kids are going to be in person, a majority of the kids will be in person. It'd be fun to send it home with them because I know my kids love to get it and like circle stuff to like just to hype it up a little bit more.
I suppose, yeah, they're going to be back by then. So
We've got there were some in the mailbox, Eva. So we probably
awesome. Yeah, they send so much stuff, so yeah, they'll give it to us. But yeah, I'll make sure that comes true. So that's a great idea. I forgot that they'd be in person by then. So we can talk about planning something, more live, like a real fair for the spring. We could do it outside. They're really flexible. They have like drive-through fairs and things like that. So, once it gets nicer out, we can certainly talk about trying something different like that or hosting it outside. They also have case-only fairs, which our hallways are so crowded it wouldn't work well, but there's options. So maybe we can revisit it once we know it's going to be nicer out.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dining out update. It's weird, and I don't know if anybody knows anything because we tried to reach out to Culver's. We had a dining out week or a dining out at Culver's last week, and one of our families contacted me and said that she went there and it looked like it's under renovation. So nobody told us about that, and I'm assuming they weren't open for that Tuesday. So I don't know. And both Janelle and I emailed our contact person and she never got back to us. So I'm not quite sure if they're going to continue to do it, how long that renovation is going to take. But
I think it's over. I think it was like a real quick Like I went to like Cub last Wednesday and I drove by and I was like, oh, they're re-renovating. And then I just went to Cub Sunday or Saturday and it looked open. So I think it was like a short, quick, whatever it was.
All right. All right. Well, that's all right then. Yeah. It was a little weird that they didn't contact us because it's someone who I've emailed back and forth with before. So I don't know. Any new business? Anybody have anything they want to bring up? We've got 20 minutes before the event. Like I said, it's not mandatory for everybody to be at the event. It'd be nice to have some of our PTA members if you guys have a little time to spare tonight. I think it's going to be a great, it's going to be a good presentation. They are going to record it, so it will be available on YouTube, and we'll just share the link, their YouTube link, after today. So does anybody have any other thoughts before we wrap up? Eva?
Oh, I just want to say, we have 100 seats tonight for this presentation, so it'd be great. If you guys do join and you see that there aren't a lot of people, I think feel free to share on other sites. Renee, is that cool? If we get going and there's not a lot of participation, can we put it out to other social media sites, or that's okay with you, everyone and everybody? Okay.
I know. I didn't mean to be so stingy with it.
I want our community to have first access, 100%.
So obviously it's something that I think a lot of families would be interested in.
It's
just wanted to make sure.
I'm part of a Facebook group that's it's like distance learning for parents support group. So I was just thinking, oh my gosh, all these parents would probably really enjoy that, but we can also share it later, which is awesome.
Yeah.
The recording, so.
Yeah, because the only interactive part's about 15 minutes, right at the end, where there's a question and answer.
But they're always better when more people are involved, and you know how classes go. You have more participants, it's usually a better discussion. So.
Well, thank you. And thank you for setting that up, Eva. Thanks for
sure. Yep. Next month is resiliency and just trying to remain resilient in the winter with COVID and social distancing and everything. And then March is focusing on our educators and our staff and how to help them with their mental health and just how to be a supportive community to our teachers and our educators. So
I'd really love Stephen, to get a really good push on that and make sure all of our, staff, even if it's staff that doesn't work at our building full time, we'd love for them to be a part of that. And families, families who have educator parents, that would be a great thing for them too.
And Mary, the gal from YSB that I'm working with, said if we needed more seats for something, we could definitely get that. So that might be one that we might look into having more participants available.
That would be great.
That third one. So
awesome. Well, thank you. Yep. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Angie and Sarah, thank you for being here with us. We will adjourn if nobody else has anything they'd like to.
I neglected to thank you for the gift cards, too. That was a really big deal.
Oh, yeah.
To be able to distribute those cards to all of the staff, that was really a nice gesture. So thank you very much for helping out with that.
Yes, I was going to say the same thing. I got lots of emails from teachers thanking the PTA for the gift cards and just being so thoughtful and generous. And I think we know as teachers and a staff how fortunate we are to have the community that we have. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, you guys are so welcome. And it really was Paula. I mean, Paula and Jackie and Lauren, I think those guys really took it and ran and then just asked us for extra support, which we were more than happy to give. So thank you guys for everything you're doing as you switch gears yet again, right? So please relay that to everybody, that we're just so grateful. And a gift card isn't enough. Not nearly. Okay, so it's 6:45. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Can I just add one thing?
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I was going to say that list of teacher preferences was so helpful. If we can do that in the years coming, I mean, at least for me to try to pick out stuff. I don't know if from a teacher's perspective how they felt about it, but I was just like, oh, this makes it so much easier.
Yep.
It made it so much easier to get like little gifts or something for the teacher, something for Christmas. Made it so much easier. It really did.
It's something that a lot of PTAs do, and we just didn't do it. And so I'm hoping if we make it a thing in the fall and just have teachers fill it out in the fall, we'll just have it up all year long. I think that'd be a good idea.
Just know that every gift is appreciated, and some are more memorable than others. I was a 5th grade teacher, and I had a sweet, sweet girl who was new to the country from Korea. And she gave me a very large jar of oil of Olay for my holiday gift one year. So clearly I struggle from dry skin.
But you look so young and youthful.
And that has to be, that was probably 30 years ago, and I'm still talking about it.
Still using it. It was that big.
Well, I know my daughter and I, we ended up getting Miss Cheatham a $20 gift card to Caribou. And because I was like, well, teachers gotta love coffee. Like, she didn't put anything for coffee on there. It's just like, I will use it. It was the best Christmas ever for it. She goes, I know I'll use it. So it was nice.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad.
Thank you, everyone.
Back, Angie. Okay, so motion to adjourn, Victoria? Do you still want a motion to adjourn? Is there a second?
I will.
All right, Leah, Eva will second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? No. Everybody have a good night. Hopefully we'll see some of you in about 15 minutes. Oh, do you guys have the link? Do you need me to share the link with you here? Yes, okay. Stand by.
Did we put something on Facebook right away too? Or should we do that?
It was what you put up before.
But maybe reshare it?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll reshare it if I can do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Here is the.
I'm gonna go check into CISA and work on assessments. We'll see you later.
Have fun.
Bye.
Have a great night, Jen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank
All
you.
right, you
All
guys.
right, bye.